U.S. House passes bill banning semi-automatic assault weapons. A new report provides snapshot of Illinois Muslims' needs. Biden, Al-Qaeda chief Zawahiri killed in U.S. drone strike in Kabul. UN chief warns humanity is one misstep away from nuclear annihilation. Floods kill about 500 in Pakistan. From Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Saamiyah Syed. Our top story tonight. The U.S. House of Representatives recently passed legislation banning assault-style rifles. The legislation was sponsored by Representative David Cicilline, a Democrat from Rhode Island who introduced the bill in March 2021. It adds provisions making it unlawful to import, sell, manufacture, transfer, or possess semi-automatic assault weapons or large-capacity ammunition feeding devices. But it stops short of making an outright ban on all semi-automatic assault weapons or large-capacity ammunition feeding devices. People who already lawfully own such weapons when the ban is enacted will be grandfathered in. Background checks will still be required for transfers of these weapons. On Wednesday, a U.S. Senate panel took a step toward making the internet safer and less exploitative for children and teens. It advanced the Kids Online Safety Act and Children and Teens Online Privacy Protection Act to the floor. Josh Golin is executive director of Fair Play, a nonprofit dedicated to ending marketing to children. He said together the bills will provide critical privacy protections for children and teens, limit surveillance advertising, and require platforms to prioritize young people's best interests. Groups such as the American Academy of Pediatrics to Center for Digital Democracy support the measure. A letter signed by more than 100 groups urged the committee to advance both bills. A former speechwriter for 3 Republican presidents said Donald Trump has convinced his ardent followers the country will collapse into chaos and savagery if he is not reinstated as president. In a column for The Atlantic, Peter Wehner wrote Trump has led his fans to believe nothing is off limits when it comes to the America First ideology. That same ideology led to the January 6th riot by Trump supporters in the U.S. Capitol. Wehner wrote the former president's disordered personality was on display during his speech before the America First Policy Institute last week. He wrote Trump only cares about inflaming people's passions, creating chaos and conflict. He called Trump a master at ramping up fear, hate, and grievances. A new report on Illinois Muslims shows a diverse and young population in need of services and engagement from policymakers and philanthropy, WBEZ reports. Illinois Muslims' needs, assets, and opportunities took 3 years of preparation and research. It includes surveys and focus groups jointly conducted by the Illinois Muslim Civic Coalition, the Institute for Policy and Civic Engagement at the University of Illinois Chicago, and the Institute for Social Policy and Understanding. Illinois has the highest per capita population of American Muslims. The report estimates more than 350,000 Illinois residents self-identify as Muslim, roughly 3% of the state's population. It also notes that Muslims are the youngest and most diverse faith community in the state. The document found that 35% of Illinois Muslims are Black, 31% are Asian, 23% are white, and 8% are Hispanic. Muslim students in New York's Brentwood school district will be served halal-certified foods in cafeterias starting this fall. The Brentwood Union Free School District Board adopted a resolution on July 20th to offer halal food in the district's 19 kitchens, Newsday reports. School Board Trustee Hassan Ahmed, the first Muslim and Pakistani American elected in Suffolk County, introduced the resolution to include halal dietary options. Ahmed estimates there are more than 1,000 Muslim families in the district. Dr. Sarah Siddiqui, a pediatrician and board member of the United Muslim Council, says students need proper nutrition, healthy foods, and proteins for better learning. Details on the U.S. drone strike in Afghanistan to kill Al-Qaeda's chief comes after the break, so stay tuned and we'll be right back after these messages.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize, and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Despite the development of a COVID-19 vaccine, millions around the world will not have access. We need a vaccine that's free and available to everyone, everywhere. It's time for a people's vaccine.
Assalamu alaikum! Open up your eyes.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, it's your brother Zain Bika from South Africa. One of the first educational programs ever produced for Muslim children was the ever popular Adam's World series. The colorful and comical Muslim puppets stole the heart of a generation. Sound Vision will be releasing brand new episodes of Adam's World with the launch of a Adam's World app. Subscribers will enjoy new Adam's World episodes as they are released, as well as all the classic episodes of Adam's World. So visit adamsworldapp.com now to learn more, subscribe, and enjoy new adventures of Adam and his friends. And let's keep helping tomorrow's Muslims today. Assalamu alaikum.
It's Adam's World. Believe me, there's a lot to see. Bismillah. Let's explore.
To stop this genocide, we need your help.
Welcome back. Ayman al-Zawahiri, an Egyptian surgeon who had a $25 million bounty on his head, was killed in a drone strike in Afghan's capital Kabul Sunday morning, U.S. officials said. Speaking on the condition of anonymity, they confirmed the drone strike. It is the first known U.S. drone strike inside Afghanistan since American troops and diplomats left the country in August 2021. Al-Zawahiri is accused of helping coordinate the September 11, 2001 attacks that killed nearly 3,000 people. There have been rumors of Al-Zawahiri's death several times in recent years. He was reported to have been in poor health. Al-Zawahiri's death raises questions about whether he received sanctuary from the Taliban after their takeover of Kabul last August. A detailed analysis is coming up later tonight, so keep watching Muslim News. On Monday, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres issued a dire warning, saying raging global conflicts have put the world just one misunderstanding away from nuclear war. Guterres was addressing the UN General Assembly about the 2-year delayed review of the historic Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. He said geopolitical tensions are reaching new highs as states seek full security by stockpiling nuclear arms. More than 13,000 doomsday weapons are now held in arsenals worldwide, he said. Guterres warned that simmering tensions in the Middle East and the Korean Peninsula, as well as the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, could become nuclear flashpoints. Pakistani authorities said flash floods triggered by heavy monsoon rains have killed 140 more people in the past week. The overall death toll from rain-related incidents since June has reached 478. Balochistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and southern parts of Punjab provinces are the worst-hit regions. Massive downpours and flash floods have forced tens of thousands of people in those areas to leave their homes for safety. Rescue workers backed by army troops are struggling to cope with the growing number of victims. Incessant rains and flooding in several parts of Balochistan and southern Punjab, where people have taken refuge in tents, have stymied efforts to assist those affected. Israeli forces detained more than 40 Palestinians, including Jerusalem Governor Adnan Khaif, this week in a mass arrest campaign across the occupied West Bank, Palestinian authorities said. Khaif was arrested in an Israeli raid on his home in Silwan neighborhood in the occupied East Jerusalem. His spokesman Maruf al-Rifai told Anadolu Agency Israeli forces did not provide any reason for the governor's arrest. According to the state news agency Wafa, Khaif has been detained by Israeli forces more than 17 times since being appointed governor in 2018. The Palestinian Prisoner Society said 26 Palestinians were detained in Hebron City, while other arrests were reported in Bethlehem, Qalqilia, Jenin, and Nablus. Palestinian NGOs estimate over 4,000 Palestinian detainees are being held in Israeli jails, including at least 160 minors and 34 women. Tensions are mounting among Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh after a report of hepatitis spreading in the border district of Cox's Bazar. Over 1 million Rohingya live in camps in the district. Mohammed Abdurrahim, a Rohingya in Kutupalang camp, told Anadolu Agency there's concern about hepatitis and other infectious diseases spreading due to poor living conditions. 1/5 of the adult Rohingyas living in 34 refugee camps in Cox's Bazar are infected with hepatitis C, according to a recent study. The National Liver Foundation of Bangladesh conducted the study published in January by a journal of the American Association for the Study of Liver Diseases. Hepatitis C is a type of liver inflammation. The 5 major hepatitis viruses are A, B, C, D, and E. A delegation of Pakistani Islamic clerics who recently visited Afghanistan's capital Kabul urged the government to reopen schools for girls beyond grade 6, GeoNews reports. Maulana Tayyib, a delegation member, said the group stressed to the Taliban the need to open girls' schools and colleges. He said his wife has translated the Holy Quran into the Pashto language and written a book in Pashto for helping others understand the Quran, according to the report. Without an education, she would not have been able to serve the Holy Quran and our religion, he said. Taliban leaders have assured they would soon open girls' schools and colleges where they can be educated according to Sharia law, he added. Girls' schools beyond grade 6 have been closed for more than 310 days. Coming up after the break is our in-depth analysis segment, so stay tuned and we'll be right back after these messages.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Despite the development of a COVID-19 vaccine, millions around the world will not have access. We need a vaccine that's free and available to everyone, everywhere. It's time for a people's vaccine.
Dad, they took over my bedroom. Come on, come on. Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. Dad! You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
We are Justice for All. Headquartered in the heart of downtown Chicago, Justice for All is a global humanitarian initiative dedicated to raising awareness for human rights concerns impacting vulnerable minority groups. Our diverse team of staff and volunteers, led by Imam Malik Mujahid, work tirelessly to help Justice for All achieve their goals. We promote policies that protect religious freedom, address the root causes of mass displacement, and recognize the plight of refugees and forced migrants. Together, we can continue to stand up for justice. Justice for all.
Welcome back. To discuss the killing of Al-Qaeda chief Ayman al-Zawahiri in a U.S. drone strike, let's go to Imam Abdul Malik Mujahid. Over to you, Imam Mujahid.
Thank you, Saamiyah. President Biden says he ordered Ayman al-Zawahiri killed, and he was killed through a drone attack on Kabul. This seems to be the first drone attack since American withdrawal from Afghanistan. Afghanistan Tolo News, which is the most popular Afghanistan television, they're quoting Taliban that a drone strike did take place, but house was empty and nobody died. I don't know what is the truth about that, but this drone strike continued to be used. I don't know what is the process of that. To discuss with us is someone who has developed expertise in this area by writing We Kill Because We Can, from soldiering to assassination in the drone age. Laurie, Calhoun, welcome to Muslim Network TV.
Hello.
So, who should we trust more? U.S. government claim or the Taliban saying that house was empty, considering that many reports have come earlier that he has died?
That's an excellent question. Above all, because many of these high-value targets, including this one, were targeted in the past, and in their stead, civilians were killed. Initial reports are always gloating and saying, oh, we got rid of a bad guy and we're keeping the homeland safe. But in fact, in many cases, in thousands of cases, innocent civilians have been killed in place of the targets sought after. So we have some reason for doubting this initial report from the United States based solely on the last drone strike in Kabul, which was August 29th, 2021, during which 10 innocent people, including one aid worker and 7 children, were killed by a drone strike. And the initial report from the Pentagon was that we just stopped an attack on Kabul airport. Well, it turned out that, in fact, they were all innocent. They had targeted this person based on the fact that he was driving a white Toyota Corolla, and he seemed to be acting suspiciously. And it was a tragedy. It was uncovered because some reporters on the ground investigated the site and did the kind of journalistic reporting that we should have seen throughout the war on terror, but never did, because it was too dangerous for journalists to access these sites. So we were often dependent upon the reports given to us by the killers themselves. Because of what happened just last year, less than a year ago in Kabul, we have some reasons for doubting that this strike is the way it has been painted by the US government.
Yeah, in that Muslim Network TV covered within 3 days that these people were actually working or connected with those people who are trying to help Afghans through the United States support. And they were...
it was a tragedy. It was a complete tragedy, no doubt about it.
Yeah. Now, what is the process United States uses to determine that, okay, this person is found guilty and this is this person's punishment? What is that process?
That's an excellent question also. What has happened is assassination has been rebranded as a form of warfare. And under that rubric, the US government has assumed absolute impunity in killing anyone, anywhere, whom they deem to be a bad guy. So the process, the actual collection of intelligence, involves 2 basic sources. One is human, which is human intelligence, which comes from bribed informants, people on the ground, often destitute people who need money and are willing to turn people in because they need money. The other source of intelligence is SIGINT, which is signals intelligence, which is circumstantial evidence. It's For example, SIM card data, it's video footage, drone video footage. It's evidence that makes it seem as though the person may be suspicious, but it's purely circumstantial evidence. So on the basis of these two sources of evidence, neither of which would hold up in a court of law in the United States in a capital case, people are being executed by the US government using these drones.
So do you think there is a process in the government in which people who are familiar with the crimes and independent judges, they sit and decide that, okay, this person is found guilty of crime 1, 2, 3, and this is his punishment. And since we cannot get hold of that person, we'll send a drone to take care of that person. President Biden says justice has been delivered. Do you
That's
agree?
what he said. But the truth is that most of the people killed in drone strikes are suspected of future possible terrorist acts. They don't have committed crimes assigned to them. Many of their names are not even known, but they are seen to be associates of other people who are suspected to be members of terrorist networks. So the idea in general has been to kill people who might possibly attempt to carry out terrorist attacks in the future. These people may or may not be guilty of any crimes, but they haven't been charged with any crimes. They haven't been indicted with any crimes. At the time when they're killed, they are suspects, and they're killed without being granted the ability to defend themselves against the claim that they are guilty of something. It's a complete travesty of justice. I mean, it's summary execution at the decree of the killers.
Well, Dr. Zawahiri, said to be Al-Qaeda, said to be part of those who plotted 9/11 attacks. So you're saying that none of these people were indicted in anywhere and proven that they were part of all of this?
No, they were never indicted. Indeed, even U.S. citizens, for example, Anwar al-Awlaki, were executed without indictment or trial. They were located in other countries. He was in Yemen at the time of his death, and he was executed by his very own government without being allowed to stand trial for whatever he was suspected of having done or, plotted. So in the case of Zawahiri, we have good grounds for believing that this guy was a member of Al-Qaeda and that he was in fact involved in 9/11. But there's a whole nother level of investigation which has to go into these cases. And as I said, many times these people have been targeted, and later on they're claimed to be killed, and then they're claimed to be killed later on, months later or years later. So we actually don't know who, if anyone, was killed in this house. And as you said, the Taliban has claimed that it was an empty house, as have other workers in the area. That doesn't prove anything. It could be that he's hiding out in there. But the point is, we don't know who was killed. The Pentagon itself has come out and said that they have no DNA evidence, but they have, quote unquote, visual evidence. Well, visual evidence has been used to kill many innocent people in the past. A fellow who looked like Osama bin Laden, for example, was killed on the basis of the fact that he was a tall guy in white clothing. So this has happened over and over again throughout the war on terror. And what is shocking in this case is that we supposedly withdrew from Afghanistan. So what's happened, you can't really call this an act of war because we're no longer at war with Afghanistan and the Taliban. So now what's happened is a foreign government has come in and assassinated someone. And, we have to ask, is this the way we want the world to be? Would this be accepted in other countries? Would this be accepted, for example, in France or Germany? If the US government just went in and said, hey, this guy's a bad guy, we're going to execute him. I don't think so.
I mean, you're author of the book, We Kill Because We Can. And it sounds like it's a game, because I can, because, kids do something and they say, because.
That's right.
What is
your...
your...
The point of my book, in part, is to show how we normalized assassination as a result of the technological ability to kill by remote control. So the only reason why we're killing people using drones, missiles launched from drones, is that we developed the capacity to do so. So it's possible to do so. The question is, should we be doing it? And that question has never been addressed. Basically, as soon as the technology was available, the killers just decided to expand the domain of killing. So rather than killing only in traditional warfare, now they kill people in other countries, even countries with which we are not at war, and they call it an act of war, but in fact it bears no resemblance to an act of war. In an act of killing of an enemy soldier, he is, under international law, provided with the ability to surrender. He is provided with the ability to lay down his arms before being executed. What's happening in these cases is the suspects are being executed summarily, and it's, according to the laws of war, a war crime, because you're not supposed to just execute soldiers point blank if they're not directly threatening anyone with death at the time of their deaths. And in most of these cases, there's no one on the ground who's being endangered by the people. It's just they're considered to be dangerous by someone in the drone apparatus.
I don't know if it is part of your expertise or not, but I was looking up Associated Press about his profile, and it includes that he was an eye surgeon, and his father was a professor at the university, and his grandfather was the head imam or the main leader, sort of the president of the Al-Azhar University, a highly respected university in the Muslim world. A person with that lineage and with eye surgeon, what takes these type of people to be drawn into an international terrorism?
That's an excellent question. And it is interesting that many of the high-level members of Al-Qaeda have been educated, intelligent people. These are not just bums off the street. Many of them have had engineering degrees, as you said, science degrees, even doctors. And the reason is they joined up with Al-Qaeda to protest U.S. military aggression in the Middle East. Okay, so that's not an excuse, of course. It's not an excuse for killing people. So what happened on 9/11 is in no way excused by the fact that Osama bin Laden and his entourage had grievances with the U.S. government. But they did have grievances. They were incensed with the occupation of Middle East territories by the U.S. government. They were incensed by the consequences of the 1991 Gulf War, in which hundreds of thousands of people died as a result of the draconian sanctions imposed on the Iraqi people in the decade follow. So they were incensed about all of these things, and they decided to retaliate in what they took to be a form of just war. Their jihad is the analog to what Westerners call just war. And it just shows you, once again, that violence breeds violence. So we killed a lot of people in the Middle East. This angered people in the Middle East, and then they tried to kill us in the West.
Thank you so much, Laurie Calhoun, for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Back to you, Saamiyah.
Thank you so much, Imam Mujahid. That's all from our Toronto studios tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can find previous episodes and more on our YouTube or Facebook. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum and good night.